Hi, welcome to Street Priest Ministries. I'm your host, Brother Jay, as we're taking the Gospels back to the streets. Today's drive-through message is Age of the False Prophet, a Catholic message. This message is for you Catholics. I have a few that joined Street Priests, and I'm happy about that. I had one of my best friends was an Italian friend of mine, and he was Catholic. And this message is for you. I have very bad news to tell you. Your church is in an apostate state right now. Sometimes the truth hurts, but Bible say open rebuke is better than secret love. Faithful are the wounds of a friend, but a kiss of the enemy is deceit. And unfortunately, you got a lot of good Catholics at the bottom. I'm talking about the supporters and not. But at the top, there's a lot of corruption. And it's always been corruption. You're actually the foundation. And a lot of you don't know the history of your own church. I've studied it for years. Read a lot of books on it, especially Malachi Martin's. It's been corrupt from the get-go. And you're not aware of it. The Bible says the blind, the leaders of the blind, all have fallen into the ditch. So my suggestion to you is to run for the hills, to leave, get out. Excommunicate your own selves from that pagan establishment, because that's what it is. And I'm going to prove it to you. A lot of you don't get a chance to look at the Bible. You just go do Mass and you sit there and you hear liturgy in Latin, exegesize to you, and you really don't know the Bible. And I'm going to get you familiar, hopefully, with this lesson and wake you up and call you forth and get out of it. You're in an apostate church. You're in a Jezebel church. I don't know how to sugarcoat anything. I'm just going to give it to you straight. Now, I don't drink coffee, but if I would, it'd be black, unsweetened, nothing in it, no mix. No sugar, definitely. Jesus said we'd be salt of the earth anyway. So I'm just going to give it to you straight. And you can, let the chips fall where they're made. But at least you got an honest report on your religion and the fallacies of it. Now I'm going to start with the history of your church, because a lot of you don't know it. Your church came about during the Roman persecutions of the church itself. And that started with Nero, 64 AD. And he persecuted, killed millions. There were just waves of persecution. But millions of Christians, Protestants. First they were the Nazarenes, then they became known as the Christian Church of Followers of Christ. And they were underground. A lot of them had to hide, catacombs. And a lot of them in the tombs of Rome held their Bible studies. Read a little history. Read the book, Fox's Book of Martyrs, if you haven't read it. Get that book. I'll tell you the early church. But Rome has always been a persecutor of the church. But Christianity still spread. And it spread like wildfire, because you had Christians, martyrs, singing, going into the lions' dens, singing hymns and praising God. And of course that caught on. People wanted that kind of peace, that kind of faith. And the early church, the Bible says, turned the world upside down. Apostle Paul was one of the first martyrs, and by Nero himself. And like I said, it spread from there, but you had waves, like 10 successive waves of persecution, up until 400 AD. And a guy named Constantine, which was the emperor of Rome, he's the founder of the Catholic Church. He said, if we can't beat them, let's join them. So it became a state religion. And he gave them 30 years to either join the state. It was a reprieve on the martyrs and executions for heresy. And he put a memoriam on that, a stay of execution. and gave a window of 30 years to either join the state religion called Catholic Church, or else you'll be deemed a heretic and they'll go back to killing. So a lot of people joined. That's how the Catholic Church, and he gave them high positions in the church. That was the beginning of the cardinals and all that. The priesthood, actually the priesthood is modeled after the Laodicean church. You can get by teaching on that doctrine of the Nicolaitans, the Nicolaitan church. I taught on that too. Get that teaching. But anyway, it's a priestly order, and God in the Bible, Christ in the Bible is without. You don't know this, but Christ forbade that. He said, "You're all brothers and sisters. There's no priestly order. You had apostles, evangelists, pastors, prophets, and teachers for the perfecting of the saints in Ephesians 6:12. Tell you that was the order. But we're the servants. He said, the greatest among you will be the greatest servant. Not to be served. Definitely wasn't to be a mega rich church like yours in the trees. Catholic Church is worth trees. Probably in the tens of trillions of dollars for its wealth and priceless art and artifacts. That wasn't the early church work. And I'm going to show you that in the scripture in a minute. Jesus said, having food and raiment, be therewith content. So that wasn't what you got from the church world. You didn't get it from the church world. You got that's from the pagan church. Serving the god of Mammon, the god of greed, and Jezebel, as far as wealth is concerned. Now, after your church was formed, 400 AD, they took paganism. Now this is in their own records, and blended it with Christianity. That's where we get all the Helly Days. I call them Helly Days. I don't celebrate any of them. That's Christmas. Massa was the barley cake baked to the Queen of Heaven with the sun host. That's why now in your church you have the wafer with the sundial on it that's unbroken. That was baked to the Queen of Heaven, the Massa cake. So your whole religion is built on ancient occultism, Nimrod, Semiramis, Tammuz, the sun god, moon goddess worship, under Lucifer, Satan himself. Now, that's just the cold hard facts. And they tried to put a Christian face on paganism. All these Helly Days have been celebrated by pagans around the world since Babylon, ancient Chaldea. It's an ancient occult religion with variations of the names just in different cultures. And I'm going to show you that right now. I'm going to prove it to you. I can show you better than I can tell you. So we'll start out in Genesis. Show you where your religion came from. And let me see, I got to look. I didn't mark it, so let me find it real quick. Your religion is as old as Methuselah. It goes back to Babylon. Okay, Genesis 11. Now this is Nimrod. And he had the whole world united. He was the first Antichrist, anti-God state. The worship, the deification of demons and devils and man. Is all it is. State religion. And the whole earth was of one language. This is Genesis 11:1. And of one speech. That's what we're trying to get. That's what the spirit of the Antichrist is trying to do now. Trying to connect the world. That's what all this technology is about. Is to bring the whole earth together, make it one. They got little voice things now. You can say something in your language and it'll translate whatever language. So they're trying to bring about this one world, religion, one world government. They've been working on it for centuries now. And we're going to talk about that in a minute. But let me read this. And the whole earth was of one language and of one speech. That's what your church is about. Trying to bring about the one world government, one world religion. And it came to pass as they journeyed from the east that they found a plain in the land of Shinar, and they dwelt there. And they said one to another, Go to, let us make brick and burn them thoroughly. And they had brick for stone and slime, and they had for mortar. And they said, Go, let us build us a city and a tower, whose top may reach into heaven. And let us make us a name, lest we be scattered abroad upon the face of the whole earth. So you had men united, trying to build a gateway, some kind of giant Ouija board, portal, so they can get to heaven and declare war on God. That's what the whole story is about. And Nimrod was leading this charge. He's known to shoot take a bow and arrow and shoot arrows up toward heaven and curse God. And they said, Go, let us build us a city and a tower, whose top may reach into heaven, and let us make us a name, lest we be scattered abroad upon the face of the whole earth. And the Lord came down to see the city and the tower, which the children of men built. And the Lord said, Behold, the people is one, and they all have one language. Now, you're about to read about how God feels about unity with man. One world religion, one world government, one language. See how he feels about it. And the Lord said, Behold, the people is one, and they all have one language. And this they begin to do. And now nothing will be restrained from them, which they have imagined to do. God seen it as evil, this unity of man. Go to, let us go down, and there confound their language, and they may not understand one another's speech. So in the early beginning, we all spoke one language. God went down and changed the languages. Actually, and you read in the Apocrypha, he changed it to 70 different tongues, different languages, 70. And then, of course, you got all the dialects within those language structures too, but it was 70 basic languages that God changed them into. So the Lord scattered them abroad thence upon the face of the earth. So not only did he change the language, but he scattered the people all over the earth. So that's why you have, in all these ancient cultures, the same basic religion. The same sun god, moon god. I'll say sun god, moon goddess. Revised sun god worship in its different variations, along with ancient spiritism, the worship of demons, and summoning of spirits and demons, witchcraft of all sorts, but basically the same. Different forms of witchcraft, all of it still basically the same around the world. So the Lord scattered them abroad thence upon the face of all the earth, and they left off to build a city. And the Apocrypha God destroyed, set fire and burned the tower. He declared that God did more than just let it. And a lot of them died because it was so high. They were dropping bricks on one another. God caused an earthquake. So he had an earthquake, according to the Apocrypha. Fire wiped out a third, earthquake wiped out a third, and the other was just left there and just collapsed. Therefore, the name of it is called Babel. Babel means confusion. Babylon, the city of confusion. God confused the tongues, the language. So this is the beginning of your church right here. Your church was founded right here by this man Nimrod. Now you read about Nimrod, if you want to go back and read about him, it's in Genesis 10:8. And Cush begat Nimrod, and he began to be a mighty one in the earth. And he was a mighty hunter before the Lord. Wherefore it is said, even Nimrod, the mighty hunter before the Lord. Now in the Apocrypha, he was like, Nimrod was like mixed was giant himself. And he also had the lamb skin that his grandfather had stolen from Noah, that had powers over animals, and he was subduing wild animals. He was hunting lions and killing them for he hated lions because the lions were affiliated with the Lion of the tribe of Judah, which was Christ. He's anti-Christ. He was the first anti-Christ. He hated God. He hated Christ. But this is the foundation of your religion right here. This is what the Catholic Church is all about. Sun God, moon God. Mary became the moon goddess. And your church is about the sun God, not the Son of God, the Sun God. And the revised Sun God, Tammuz. The images are all over your church. Sun God versed all over. Your ceremonies is not about the Son of God, it's about the Sun God, S-U-N God. This is your religion right here. Ancient paganism. And like I said, Christmas is a celebration of Tammuz, the Sun God, the rebirth of the Sun God. So winter solstice festival, been around for thousands of years. Easter, Ashtar. Isis, all of them the same. The moon goddess. Fertility rites, spring solstice. That's what Easter is. All your holidays are pagan. All the months are named from paganism. Janus, January, February. Janus stood at the gates, the ancient pagan god that weighed you in the balance with your good works outweighed your bad. In February. It's the goddess of fertility. Yes, well, this pagan holiday that just passed was a combination in February of Lupra, which was the pervert demon, Pan. They would just celebrate. Had nothing to do. So-called St. Valentine's Day. Pagan holiday. Been celebrated for thousands of years, February 14th. Most of these holidays, all of them, is a celebration, unless you want to get what the biblical ones God gave his children, the feast days, but all of them outside that are pagan. Every single one. Halloween, I shouldn't have even have to spell that one out. Celebration of the dead, these are all witches' Sabbaths. All these holidays, so-called Helly Days. The Helly Days. Celebrate any of them, not one of them. All pagan. And because of your church, we have these holidays, so-called Helly Days. I gotta stay consistent. Ain't no holy nothing about them. They're all Helly Days. Celebration of demons and Satan himself. Now, I know this is a shocker, like cold water. But it's a fact. Even in the Catholics acknowledge it in their own records that they're pagan. And all those symbols and everything the Pope wears. Now, what does the word Pope mean? It means Father of Fathers. It's a religious connotation, a title of exaltation. He's looked at as the vicar, as a Christ figure on earth. But he's not. And I'm about to show you something. So we're going to go. And it's going to be a slow crawl through message, not a fast one. I want to make sure you, if you do reject it, that you know what you're rejecting. So I'm introducing you to the real Christ here. Now, Matthew 23:9. I'm going to let Jesus do the talking. Since your church is supposed to be following Jesus and they're not, I'll show you what my dad used to say. You ain't got to say a stick is crooked, son. Just lay a straight one next to it. The people will see for themselves. So I'm going to show you the word of God, the straight stick. What Jesus said out of his own mouth. Okay, Matthew 23:9. And this is Jesus talking. Let's start up at verse 8. Be not ye called rabbi, which is master, for one is your master. All the pagan cultures call each other master, teacher, father. They told you like religious figures they looked up to. But Jesus said not so. Don't call me, you telling us as Christians not to call one another these exalted titles. But be not ye called rabbi, for one is your master, even Christ, and all the brethren. We're all brothers. I'm Brother James. That's what I go by. I don't know, and definitely don't call me Reverend. The Bible say Reverend is God's name. It's holy and it's His name. So devil, I done checked a lot of people who tried to call me that. Don't call me that. Call me brother or pastor. And that's it. As far as I go. And call no man your father. Did you catch that? Did you get that? And what do you call all these priests father for? They're not no father. This is Jesus telling himself. This is the founder of the Christian church, right? Telling you not to call no man your father. It's one that died for our sins and rose again. None of them men could or will. That's why we ain't confess our sins to men. We're going to pray to Father in heaven ourselves. We have access to the throne because of Christ's blood that He shed for us. We don't have to go through no priestly order or no priestlyhood. This is all of men. Jesus said, make void the word of God, teaching traditions of men. That's what the Catholic Church is all about, tradition. To make void the word of God. And call no man your father up on earth, for one is your Father which is in heaven. Neither be ye called masters, for one is your master, even Christ. But he that is greatest among you shall be the servant. Okay, something else the Christian Catholic Church is known for. Idols, statues. Even you, as Catholics, probably got little statues of Mary, or Matthew, or St. John, or something, Thomas. Oh, you got your little idols. See what the Bible says about that. I'm going to show you the Bible. All right, so we're going to go to, let me see idols. We can see the 2 Corinthians. Well, 1 Corinthians 10:20, I think it's 1 Corinthians. See what God has to say with idols. There's idols all over the Catholic Church. Images of all kind of figures beside Christ. Well, what's them other statues about? Who them other gods they got up at the Vatican? If you look up, overlooking the Vatican City, who all them other? It's all pagan gods, pagan statues. All of them. Pagan deities. And they have a lot of them. As a matter of fact, Constantine just renamed the pagan statues that have been around for a long time. He just renamed them Christian names. It's okay, you're the statue of Peter. And you're the statue of Paul. Just rename them. They were already pagan statues. Apollo, and you can go on and on. Hermes. He just renamed them. That's all. Just gave them Christian names. That's what I said. Catholic churches is a pagan church with a Christian faith. Now I'm giving it to you straight and wrong. You can look it up for yourself. They admit it in their own dogma if you do your research. And I'm not lying on them or anything. All right, 1 Corinthians 10:20. But I say, what things which the Gentiles sacrifice, they sacrifice to devils, to demons. That's the Catholic Church. The Mass, that's a pagan tradition, celebration of the dead. That's why witches' mass, black mass. Massa was the barley cake baked to the Queen of Heaven. I told you that earlier. Mass has to do with pagan worship, nothing to do with Christianity. Those are rituals that they perform in occult rituals, ancient occult rituals. That's all. But I say, what things that the Gentiles sacrifice, they sacrifice to devils, to demons, and not to God. And I would not that ye should have fellowship with devils, with demons. That's what all the rituals are for demons. That's what the sacrifices are for. Ye cannot drink of the cup of the Lord and the cup of devils, of demons. Ye cannot be partakers of the Lord's table and the table of devils. That communion comes from the priest of Baal, Connie Ball, priest of Baal. That's what your communion represents. Where they ate the flesh of babies and they still eat it. Matter of fact, that's going on probably worse than any time in history. The cannibalizing of children and babies, specifically babies, drinking their blood, adrenochrome, and getting high off the blood. That is an epidemic. Even among your own. Pedophile is what I call it. As a matter of fact, he's facing charges on that right now for murder, sodomy, rape, child sex trafficking. That's your own head of your church. It's been blacked out in the news media. But that's the head of your church. That's what the church is about, pedophilia. And pederasts. They ancient is part of the religion. Pedophilia, the worship of Pan, they're pansexuals. They screw anything. Pan means you just screw anything. Screw animals, children, homosexuality, that's all, it doesn't matter. Screw anything. It's what a lot of your clergy in the upper echelon, that's what they represent. Pan. They worship Pan. And it's part of the religion. That's why you're not going to ever reform it. It's been around since day one. Eating the babies, cannibal, priest of Baal. Now the reason I brought this message up, age of the false prophet, because that's what your pedophile is. I'm sorry, I don't know how to say it any other way. It's a false prophet. He's right now. First we'll say some of the quotes that he's made. Let's talk about some of the quotes. He's denied the existence of hell. He said hell doesn't exist. That's not even biblical. Jesus had 2/3 more to say about hell than he did hell. He denied the existence of hell. He renounced Christ and claimed Lucifer. This is out of his own mouth. You can do your research. I'm not slandering the man at all. He said Lucifer's God. He's been known to throw up the Baphomet, the two-finger Satan. Salute to hell, Satan. Salute horn of Satan. As well as the 666 son, the OK son. He's a proud Luciferian. He's not ashamed of it. He wanted to change the Lord's Prayer. I mean, I can go on. I could just spend probably 20, 30 minutes with all the heresies of your pedophile that he said out of his own mouth. But what really got my interest is what he's doing lately. He's over in Dubai, and he's done signed a document recognizing Islam. He just married Islam. Now, I'm going to give you a little history of the Catholic Church right now, since we own that. The Jesuits, which is part of which is actually, if I had to say, the most powerful organization within the Catholic Church, spawned Islam. It's a fact of history. All they're doing is just returning to their roots. I've been saying it for years. I've been telling people that for years. The sword of the Catholic Church is Islam. It's been that way. They funded Muhammad. Muhammad was married to a nun, a superior nun, like a mother superior nun that was from a Jesuit rich family, powerful family. And it was the Jesuits that financed Muhammad's campaign. And they also bankrolled the writing of the Quran. This is in their own records, on both sides. And only the higher-ups have privy to see this. And the only reason we have privy because they was ex-Jesuits that exposed it. You can go look it up on the social media sites. It's on record. And the Pope's over there and just signed a document, one world religion. Now, I'll just show you how God felt about one world religion, one language. And that's why he scattered men all over the face of the earth and changed his languages up into 70 languages. He's not biblical, what he's doing, but he's trying to bring the world together, the Pope. Peace and love, a new age, under Lucifer. That's what he's working to do. He's working overtime. Now, I'm going to show you just a brief. I'm going to do this briefly. My penmanship isn't all that great. But I drew a little diagram of the Catholic Church, a tree, and all the branches of all the organizations that's off that tree. I'm gonna just show it to you, and then I'm gonna read about it. But I at least wanted to show it to you. So let me put this over here briefly. Like I said, my penmanship ain't that great, so don't laugh. But I'm gonna show it to you. This is my tree of the Catholic Church and the organizations.